That's really good. That's something we
Well,
need
yeah,
to know
yeah.
while we're on air.
Blue screens are actually candy for your computer. They're good for you. We're live, by the way.
Okay.
Very good. Hi, folks. This is the Twin Stick Podcast. We assembled together today, and we're going to talk about some stuff. I am Lost Wolf or Grey Wolf, depending on which one you use. Who else
I
is...
am. I'm here. I'm Cody or Yoda or Tall C14 or Annoying, I guess you could call it.
And I'm Andrew J. Amadeo. Previously, or AKA Andalou, and Andoru.
So you're the prince of our group. You used to have a name, but now you don't know your symbol.
All right.
No one got that. That was terrible.
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah,
It's fine. It was a terrible joke.
I wouldn't have gotten it anyway.
No. So what do you guys do for Twin Stick? Just let us know what you do. What are you guys up to?
You go ahead, Andrew. I'll make something up.
I just do like the PlayStation Store and Nintendo eShop updates, but I also do the occasional articles. I've done Game Changers and Games for Dads.
I do occasional news writing and snippets like that. I've written a couple articles, not too many. I've been busy graduating college, actually, finishing up my last semester, graduating in a couple weeks, and I've been working on another secret project that I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to show off to everyone soon.
That's excellent. I'm the guy who writes the weird opinion pieces.
The great opinion pieces.
Every week on a Monday, I write an opinion piece, and then sometimes I do news when I'm there and I pick up stuff that seems like someone else isn't going to write it. So,
yeah.
There we go. Talking about that, what are we all playing? What have you guys been up to with games? If you're studying, then you probably shouldn't be. But tell us if you've been playing games while you.
I did stop studying to check out Triad Wars, which you can totally go watch my first impression.
Oh yes, you did that. That was very good.
I did do
Tell us
that.
your story about that, because you have a story about that actually.
I do?
Yes, for Twitter.
From Georgia?
Twitter.
From Twitter. Oh yes.
Yes.
The developers of the game, they actually both favorited and replied to a couple of my tweets and thought that my reactions to their executions were pretty funny. So that was
That's
pretty cool.
Good. I actually saw that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool confidence booster. But yeah, the game's pretty fun so far. It's I haven't quite felt the multiplayer of it yet, but I don't know if I'm even really past the tutorial yet, because every time I think I am, I hop back into it, and then suddenly it's training me with more things. So
okay.
There's a lot going on. It does feel like it's Sleeping Dogs Light, which is probably what they were going for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I'd have to play it more to see if it could be something that I would play for a long period of time, like MMOs are designed to be.
Fair enough. Andrew, are you playing anything that you're excited to talk about?
Well, yeah, I've been playing a lot of Axiom Verge. That's pretty fun. A little bit of Mortal Kombat. I haven't really gotten.
Okay. The new Mortal Kombat, the one that just came out now.
Mortal Kombat X.
Yeah, that's the one.
I haven't had a whole lot of time with it yet, but.
Okay. Are you liking it?
So far, yeah. I don't like a lot of the DLC stuff.
Actually, we're going to talk about that, don't worry. That's coming up later.
Come back to
Spoilers for later.
Yeah.
But gameplay-wise, and I mean graphically, it looks awesome, and gameplay-wise, so far it's been pretty solid. So.
What platform have you been playing it on?
PS4.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. How's it been on the PlayStation? Have you had any weird experiences? Has it fallen out? Has it died? Have you had game-breaking bugs?
Mortal Kombat or just in general?
No, Mortal Kombat.
Oh no, well I haven't been online yet.
Okay. Alrighty.
So, like I said, I haven't actually had too much time with it so far, but hopefully I'll get to spend some more this weekend.
Cool. Sounds
Sweet.
good.
Yeah.
I've been I've been playing the Quest for Glory 2. I'm now probably like the first third of the game. I've been playing the dig. I passed the most horrendous puzzle in a dig this week, so I'm very glad because the game is a lot saner from this point outwards. I've been playing Hearthstone. I've been doing the adventure. That's pretty fun. It's very hard. It's a lot harder than Extramus. And I've also been playing Torchlight, which I picked up for 4 in February last year, and then got like to level 23 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hit this boss, and he was ridiculous. He just, every time I walked into that room, he shot laser beams of death at me, and I died a lot. And I got completely frustrated, and I just couldn't anymore. So I put it down, and I picked up something else. I don't even remember what I replaced it with now. But I looked at my hard drive on Saturday. I was like, well, maybe I should just finish the game off. So I've been finishing it off. I'm probably 4 levels away from being done, so I'm excited about that because I can remove it from my hard drive.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually been playing a little bit of Hearthstone here and there as well, just
Okay.
like just on the phone now when I can.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because it just released for phones. How is that, by the way? Because they said that they built the UE from scratch.
It feels fine. There's a couple extra steps you have to take to do standard things now, like to play a card, you have to tap
Okay.
on all your cards, and then it pulls all your cards up in front of you, and then you throw it out there.
Okay.
Yeah,
But I mean, I understand that
it didn't really
because,
suit well at first, but it makes a bit of sense after you do it a few times.
yeah, because obviously what's got to happen is they have to zoom the cards in so you can actually pick the one you want. Otherwise, it would be like a Butterfingers experience where you thought you were going to play the one card, but then you played the other one. Are there any other changes that you can tell us about for the phone port?
There's really not too many other changes, actually. It's really just that's the major thing. What does kind of suck though is the cool thing about Hearthstone is you can interact with the maps and stuff. But
Yeah.
your portraits are in the corners of those maps now, so you only
Oh,
get
that's
2
right, yeah.
corners to mess with. And so the funnest one I think of the GVG map is trying to shoot the laser into the spots
yes,
that makes the
that's
rocket
right.
go up. Well, your portrait is over both the gun and then your enemy's portrait's over
Oh,
where you
no.
shoot it.
So you can't even do that.
Totally, yeah, they got rid of the best part of that map.
That sucks.
And with my phone screen, it's kind of frustrating because I have a pretty large phone screen, and
Okay.
I was a bad boy. I downloaded the APK when it came out on Android, instantly, got it running on my phone by tricking it into thinking my phone screen was way larger than it actually is, and
Yeah.
and ran it like that. And it ran totally fine. I have a pen that I can use on my phone.
Okay.
And I've played Hearthstone enough that I don't really feel that having an extra screen or a smaller screen would set me back at all. But it's their game, so I guess they can do what they want.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it is their game. That's the sum of it.
Yeah, I get to play it, so I can't complain that much.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so we talked about that. Is there any kind of news that you guys have been picking up that you're curious about talking about? Any gaming news that you've seen that has been interesting to you?
Like I had mentioned earlier, before we started, the Star Wars Battlefront news about a lot of people being kind of grumbling about features that they left out or that they're not planning on adding,
Yeah.
like space battles in particular.
Yeah, space battles being the biggest one, right?
Yeah.
When you think about playing Battlefront 2, I think about dicking around on Mos Eisley with my friends, and I think about being in my goddamn X-Wing, shooting down TIE fighters, blowing the goddamn shields up, hopping into the Star Destroyer, jumping out and mowing down stormtroopers. Come on. How is that not one of the first things they worked on?
Yeah,
Baffles me. It makes me it makes me really fear that the game is going to be just a battlefield clone.
I read a funny
Oh yeah,
comment
but
on
like with
online
lightsabers
where
and
somebody
all
said
that.
they're going to start up Battlefront and then switch over to No Man's Sky to pretend like they were playing the game that Battlefront should have been or should be.
Right? Yeah.
No.
I guarantee you, No Man's Sky will have mods when it comes on PC. All they need to do is just make some hammerheads, some X wings, some Y wings,
And
A
there we
wings,
go.
and
There
it'll
you
be
go.
done. Be perfect.
Yeah. And because it's on PC, you know it will happen. I mean, it
Oh
will
yeah.
probably get taken down, but it will happen.
I mean, maybe, probably.
For me, like the probably the biggest couple of things that have been happening recently have all got to do. We talked about Nintendo last time that we did the podcast, and they've been pretty quiet recently. But the kind of thing that interests me about that whole situation is how they're not actually handling any of it. They're not talking about handling it, and that's also a bit worrying. Like they let the amiibos go and they do all that kind of thing, and then there are shortages and there are problems with getting them, and then Nintendo they're like dead silent. They're like, well, we're not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Things change in the world? Fuck no, they don't do any of that. We'll just keep doing what we've been doing for years, and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I've kind of
Not how the
long
world
felt
works.
like Nintendo just kind of does their own thing. They always play with their cards kind of close to the chest and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well, and
true.
when they try to do new things, it works out pretty well. Like I actually like Nintendo Direct. I think it's a pretty cool system. It's just kind of like, well, we don't even need to be at E3. We're fucking Nintendo. When we announce someone, people are gonna hear about it, right? Like we don't need to put
Right.
up with
Yeah.
your kind of bullshit, and that's kind of cool. I just wish they would do that with a lot more areas of our industry.
yeah. But at the
I'm
same
just
time,
having
it's sort of frustrating because I feel like they sort of occasionally listen to fan feedback, but most of the time they just kind of ignore the vast majority of it. It feels like it takes them forever to make any kind of significant strides towards what people actually want.
Oh yeah,
They do
Yeah.
it so
it totally does.
slowly and gradually that it just kind of it gets frustrating after a while.
The other thing, just looking at the Twin Stick front page, uh, like I'm doing at the moment, is there's get up to 13 games in EA's Humble Origin bundle. I don't know how EA are in a Humble bundle. That's a bit depressing.
The not so humble bundle.
Oh, and while we're talking about this, and I'm looking at the Twin Stick page, the front page, right at the top there's a huge banner, the Twin Stick Game Club. For those of you who are interested in that, it is running now. I'm not playing because I'm bad at shooters. We're playing Deus Ex, the first one, the very first one. Some folks are streaming it. Is anyone here streaming it and playing
Uh,
it on
No, I
YouTube?
actually haven't gotten to start to replay it again, but I did thankfully play it about 6 or 9 months ago. So it's still fairly fresh in my brain. I did beat it at that time too, but so the first level might be the most fuzziest in my memory, but thankfully I could hop in that pretty easily and play it quickly.
Okay. And do you think it holds up?
Oh yeah, yeah. I still love the crap out of it. I thought the level design in particular was what stood out the most, and just like where did that go, kind of
Yeah.
in modern first-person shooters and just games in general. Really, like there were so many little trinkets here and there that really made me think like I had a lot of choice. And the best thing, and what you want to do with level design is give the player the illusion of choice, because honestly, any choice you have in a video game is something a developer's already planned out for you to have. But it
Yeah.
did make me feel like I was able to do it of my own will, and it didn't feel like it was ham-fisted into me.
Okay. Looking at the 26 page, that's about it. If you haven't looked at TwinStick, they are www.twinstick.com. But we'll tell you that again at the end. So we had a couple of things that we want to talk about, and one of the things that we want to talk about, we started actually touching on that, where we were saying that there's a whole lot of stuff that's stripped out of Battlefront, and how that's like a bad thing, because people like you guys have memories of playing the original Battlefront and seeing those space battles, and now they're just not there. And I thought we could talk about that a little bit, about how modern gaming is kind of stripping elements out of, when they do a series, they'll start to strip features out. EA is very bad at this. Like, for example, if you look at The Sims started off with one thing, built up to a whole lot of things, and then they'll like release The Sims 4, and suddenly we don't have pools anymore. You know, pools were part of the original design.
Yeah. Well, it's so they can sell it back to you later, right? And I have a feeling like that's exactly what's going to happen with Battlefront, because there's no way that they don't know that space battles are a huge part of the game. There's no fucking way. I guarantee you, first season's pass is going to be all space battles. Just like all of them.
I disagree. I think they're going to save it until next year when they release Battlefront 2.
Battlefront
whatever
2.
they call it.
Yeah. That's true. They want to
Yeah.
milk out all they can. Well, Mos Eisley, that'll be this one's DLC, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Being able to run around with any character you want, kind of thing.
So do we have any kind of, like, I mean, my experiences with that are very limited because I mostly play old games, and the thing about that was they were always ramping up instead of ramping down.
Mhm.
Except when it came to, like, they were trying to modernize adventure games, so one thing that happened was the parser went away. And with the parser went choice. So, for example, if you're in a situation where you got guys running up to you and they look like they're going to attack you, with the parser you got to be able to type, take out your knife and stab them. And with the point-and-click interface, that was just like gone. Now you had to hopefully have the knife in your inventory, and you had to hopefully stab the right guy. So my my experience of this is sort of limited because I don't play a lot of modern games. But I know, like I said,
I'm jealous of you. I wish I wish I was in that boat. Probably have a lot more fun, or a lot less headaches with what version am I buying? Like a lot of the times when you go to try to buy a new video game, you don't know like what you're getting with it. Like Evolve probably being the best and newest example. Like, how many versions of that game were out at launch? Like 4?
Like a stupid number?
Yeah, a stupid number. Like more than one?
Why is that a thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I can kind of understand it if it's like there's two versions. There's the original edition, and then there's like a funny
there's like a
edition.
collector's, or like what Elder Scrolls does, right? Like you get a fucking dragon if you contribute a bit more
If
to
you
your
buy it,
developers.
that's
Like,
right.
that's cool. That's a cool incentive. Getting some other colors for my monster. That's, I don't really know if I want to
Not
spend
so great.
$100 for that, right?
One of you was talking about Mortal Kombat X. Actually, that's a whole can of worms. That is, isn't it?
Yeah, they're selling consumables now, which I guess is the next thing, because I think I've seen that in one or two other games recently as well.
Okay.
But they will sell you a limited amount of easy fatalities. So
Oh
because,
dear.
so fatalities, sometimes it's like a complex set of buttons to press, and sometimes it doesn't always go off the way you want. So I guess I haven't even I don't even use those, but I'd imagine it's just like one or two buttons or something. I'm not even sure how it works, but basically you pay to make it easier.
Yeah, and when I first heard about that, I thought that was pretty silly, but at least it didn't interfere with the game, and I didn't really take much offense to it because I assumed that buying an easy fatality meant that you could do the fatality like that forever. And then when I learned that it was consumable, that is used up the one time you use an easy fatality, I was a little frustrated, to say the least, because if you look at it from a person who would buy that, I don't know what kind of person would, but let's say someone decides they want to buy an easy fatality because for some reason they just can't pull off Goro's fatality, so they've also pre-ordered the game. They can't pull off Goro's fatality, so they go, okay, well, I'll spend $2 to get an easy fatality because me and all my drunk buddies want to like see the stupid violence, and then they get to see the fatality because it's a lot easier to pull off, and it's not as cool as another fatality, or they just don't like it in general. Like, That just seems like such
But
a
also, like, when you think about that in the modern age, that's just silly because more than likely the developers put up video of all the fatalities. So if you really want to see
yeah,
them, go to
yeah,
YouTube.
that's true.
Yeah, just go on Twitch. I'm sure there's already tons of videos.
Yeah,
That's true. Well, they did release all the fatalities before the game even came out, so you're right. There's like, what is the reason of getting an easy fatality then? Like
yeah.
play online, and then you really want to make that guy feel bad for losing.
So you whip out your easy fatality, you beat him into the
You
ground.
whip out your wallet. I'll show him.
Rawr. But I mean, also the other thing is that like when you take that into like when you look at it from a standpoint of they're going to try and put a game like that into Evo because it's a fighting game, and Evo is going to go, you can't use the easy fatalities. So why is it there? I mean, I get it, it's there to make money, but what?
Yeah. Well, like Evo, the fatality part when you watch a Mortal Kombat thing in Evo is just kind of like, oh, that was fun. That was a fun end to that. But in the grand scheme of things, like if you don't do a fatality at the end of your match in an Evo thing, they're not going to care. They're like, well, you won, so do whatever you want, right? Like.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think it's sort of like adding.
I don't know if they would ban easy fatalities in
being
Evo. I feel like it would be stupid to do it either way. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I mean the fatality is the point where the match has ended anyway. So.
Yeah, that's an odd one.
Can you guys still hear me? I'm having some connection problems. I think.
We can sort of hear you.
But no, think back, like if Mortal Kombat, our arcade Mortal Kombat, when it first hit the streets, do you think it would have been nearly as successful if you had to pay another quarter to see a fatality?
Well, given okay, now the time and the place for that sort of thing was very weird because the games were ridiculously hard, like really really difficult, and the reason why they were set because you could set them. I've actually talked about this on a previous podcast. You could set them to be like when you walked in the morning. You could set them to be easy or difficult. And what they would do is they set them to be ridiculously difficult so that they would choke quarters. So I can see like a Capcom or someone going, you know what would be a great way to make extra quarters? Fatalities. Buy the fatalities.
That's fair. Yeah.
It would have been very ugly. I mean, it would have put the kind of market that we're having now, the
Back
one
then.
that wants to sell everything as a service, it would have hastened that along a whole lot.
A lot sooner, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you bring up an interesting topic by stating games as a service because that's what a lot of them feel like now.
Yeah.
They don't feel like a game; they feel like a service platform. And it's,
and that's kind of why they're going about ripping out things because they know they can sell them back to you. That's the whole reasoning. Probably that's like when EA was talking about, oh no, you won't have pools for SimCity. I mean, for The Sims. Their original plan until the backlash happened probably was, we'll sell that back to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, guarantee it. I have that same theory about like extended ending for Mass Effect 3. Like if they had the balls enough to pull, the interacting with a Prothean character out of the game as DLC, I could see that extended ending already have been planned DLC, but they just gave it out for free after all the backlash.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, there's a lot of instances of that now where, like, you look at one iteration of a game and then you look at the new iteration and they're doing less, like the Magic Duels of the Planeswalkers that has resurfaced. They used to have like Two-Headed Giant in 2014, and then just for no apparent reason they just took that out.
Just not there.
It's just not there. But you want to spend the $15 or the $20 or whatever it is to get the game again because maybe you like that experience. But now a mode that you really liked isn't there anymore. But they're saying, oh, you know what? We took one thing out, but we put another thing in.
Yeah. Awesome.
I know. Isn't it just?
Yeah. It's just wonderful.
Andrew, how are your connection problems? Are you still with us?
I think so. Can you guys hear me?
We can. Have you had any experience with stuff like this? Because you've been kind of quiet.
Yeah, sorry, I was just making sure. Well,
That's fine.
still good. Well, the new Mortal Kombat again, I can bring up because they've omitted a lot of characters from the last game, but
Yeah, and
they have
more
like
than likely they
alternate
will
fighting
refill that
styles
for you.
instead. I was thinking about actually doing a review on it, so I'm kind of still up in the air, but I need to play it more and spend more time with it, obviously. But I
Fair
was
enough.
going to mention that kind of how which is that better, having fewer characters with different fighting styles, or would it have just been better to bring back a lot of the extra unique characters that they left out this go around?
No, I haven't played Mortal Kombat probably since the first couple. I think I played 1 and I played 2, and then I played them in arcades.
Yeah.
Because I'm just that old.
That's fair. The 2D ones are the best one, and that's why 9 is so good. I haven't gotten to play 10 yet because my girlfriend
Okay.
pre-ordered it for PS3 because we don't have any of the next-gen consoles yet. And
Okay.
I was wary about getting it for PC just because Warner Brothers and their ports tend to not to be too great.
Yeah.
And then we were kind of bummed out when it got delayed, so we just haven't got to play it. But 9 is just an older Mortal Kombat game with a prettier skin. It plays almost exactly like them.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I know that what's happened with Mortal Kombat is that as it's sort of evolved, they've rotated in and out characters.
Yeah.
How,
Well,
what was the character roster like for 9?
9 I think had about 30 characters. It was all the classic ones. They go back in time and just redo the stories for 1, 2, and 3. So
That's pretty cool.
you're literally playing the original Mortal
Like
Kombat
a
because
remake.
they realized that it got real silly and real stupid in the story, and so they're just like, no, let's go back in time and fix this shit. It's pretty
Wasn't
great.
there a show at one point, like they were doing 10-minute episodes or whatever, where they're trying to tell you the story?
Oh, Mortal Kombat Legacy?
Yes.
Yes, those are really good. I keep hearing they're going to do a second season of that, but I don't know if that ever got
I
off the ground.
The problem with Mortal Kombat is that it had a time and a place, and the problem is that probably its time is way past. And any people who really play it are people who knew it then.
Yeah.
So it probably didn't have huge viewer ratings.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
don't know.
that's what we thought, especially like after how bad how bad Armageddon both was in terms of sales and people who played it. But I think that the time 9 came out with YouTube getting as big as it was and more people getting more eyes on a ton of different games, I think a lot of people probably haven't been exposed to games that violent in a long time, which is weird to think about, right? Like we have a ton of violent games in our industry, but it's not Mortal Kombat levels, right? And so that alone probably got it on
I mean,
a
like where
different
the guy
level,
goes,
got new
"Hey,
people into
I'm
it.
gonna rip the spine out of your body!" Hooray!
Yeah.
Actually, I would say that 9 caused a bit of a resurgence.
Oh yeah.
It had started to kind of
I
fall by
agree.
the wayside and go down kind of a bad path. But 9, they kind of I think they kind of refocused and they put a lot of effort into 9, and that was clear. And
and I think Warner
appealed to
Brothers
a lot of fighting crowd with it and everything.
Yeah, and I think Warner Brothers didn't do what they're doing with 10 to 9 because they were like, well, we don't know if people are going to play this or not. We're giving these guys money because they make good games, and they've been with us for a while, so let them do what they want with the game. They made a great game. It was $60 flat. I mean, I think there was a special edition, but whatever. And it was great. And so they were like, oh, well, shit, we've got, this is selling a lot. We're gaining a new audience. Let's make it a platform. And that's where people are starting to be like, no, that's not okay.
I mean, it's like I want to say it's one thing to say, okay, well, you know what, we'll have like little seasons, say, and we'll put 4 characters into the next 3 months season, and you can buy those, and they'll cost $5. That's fine, because that's almost the equivalent of saying, here's a little mini expansion, off you go. But the kind of level of we talked about it earlier, the kind of level of service delivery that they're talking about, where they're saying, okay, well, here's an easy fatality, you can consume that. I think that is going to get them into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
I hope, anyway. Because literally, that's the phone market strategy.
Yep.
You know, that is cell phone gaming right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of what they're trying to cash in on. I'm sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just going to say, it seems like a lot of publishers are doing that these days. I wouldn't even, necessarily fault the developers for any of these types of games, because I don't really think that they're probably the ones making these decisions. A lot of these, the big publishers have started seeing how they can, milk their audience and, get, we're not fans to them. We're just...
No, we've had this discussion on Twin Stick. You're a wallet.
Yeah,
well,
it's true.
You did your article, didn't you?
Yeah,
about
and
being a dollar
it spoke the truth. Yeah, I know. I think you're right, because the developer of Mortal Kombat since the beginning has been Ed Boon, and he was very vocal the last time Mortal Kombat 9 came around. Like, he was all over Twitter. He was doing tons of interviews. He was talking up the game all over the place, and I haven't really seen or heard of him at all. And it's very strange considering how the game just came out. And I think he might be a little bit upset about what his publisher has done to his baby.
Or his publisher has just said, that what you did last time around, you can't do that this time around.
Yeah.
You can't get in social media and you can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Because more than likely what will happen is he'll go, in my personal capacity, I think this is terrible. And Warner probably wouldn't want that.
Yeah, well, that's why I think he's just staying quiet.
Right.
Yeah. But aside from all that, what you've played of it, is it basically like 9, but prettier?
Yeah.
And
the idea of the differing styles is interesting, because you got basically 3 versions of every character, and each one has different movesets.
Oh, so they did the Injustice thing, but they bumped it up to 3 different fighting styles?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy complicated. That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, like, when you say that there are 3 playstyles, like, let's say one is a ranged playstyle and one is a close-up playstyle, do you pick, like, a different version of that character and then that's his moveset?
Yeah. Some of the moves are the same, but then they have like unique moves that they can.
Oh yeah.
That are different depending on which playstyle you choose.
But like Injustice, can you swap between all those in game within a match?
No, you have to pick it at the start of the match.
Oh, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So you just
basically pick. It kind of does, because maybe you learn a specific move set. And you learn it really well, but you learn 1 or 2 moves, like in Injustice, and you learned 1 or 2 moves from one of the other versions, and you would just swap out to that when you needed it, but now you kind of can't.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I liked about Injustice, and it kind of kept it its own feel. Although maybe that's why they're doing it this way with Mortal Kombat, to keep it, the Mortal Kombat feel, and keep Injustice in its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of makes sense, but. Could be, but I think it's more geared towards people who love certain characters, because the way I've watched some videos online, and it's like somebody will try to win a match as one Kano, and I guess because they really like that character or something, and then if they're losing, they'll switch to another version of Kano.
Because the play styles just don't mend well. I can understand that. Like, I don't really care for Smoke as a character too much, but his or Sonya. Like, I don't really like either of them, but their play styles are how I basically play fighting games, and so that's just who I tend to do better with. So that's just who I played as. So if I can actually play as someone like Sub-Zero, whose fighting style didn't really meld with me too well in MK9, that would be pretty fun, actually. That's cool. But
as I said, the downside of that is, if you love your character, there's a lot fewer of them than there were in 9. Because there's like 3 different styles for every character. They had to axe a whole bunch of them for this release. So if your character's not in it, you're kind of SOL.
No, but that's the thing. We were talking about that. We're saying they will sell you those characters again. Don't worry, they'll come.
Could be.
They will. Even if the
Give it
only
like-
DLC characters they've announced so far are all new characters.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
But-
weird.
It is weird, but it's better than them trying to sell me Scorpion and Sub-Zero, which they're pretty close to. Like the what they got going on with the game right now, it probably wouldn't have been too far behind in the conference rooms talking about what they should sell
Mhm.
less.
Yeah.
Guarantee you that came up once or twice.
Well,
Pretty much.
right now you can buy extra outfits for Scorpion and Sub-Zero. So that's where they're
Oh,
going.
there you go.
The outfits,
That's
I don't,
Sub-Zero
the
right
outfits I
there.
don't mind. The outfits I don't mind that much. But
So, okay, we talked about what the publishers are starting to rip out from games. So let's go back to a happier time. If there was like one game or maybe two games, I don't know. We'll see how we go. That you really really loved and you enjoyed quite a bit, and you could go back. Someone could take like a science fiction memory eraser, and it could remove all your memories of that game. And someone presented to you again and said, "You should play this. It's really awesome."
like the little
What
flashing
game would you like to experience?
right?
yeah, what you're saying, Andrew, Men in Black.
Yeah, there you go. Men in Black. Like that.
That's a tough one because I've got a ton of games, you know.
Right? I'm just trying to narrow it down.
Just yeah, my list would be really long. But right off the top of my head, if I had to pick two, I would say Skies of Arcadia
Mm.
Okay.
and Red Dead Redemption.
Okay.
Oh God, yeah. If I could experience that, that's a good one. Just to experience that story for the first time again and not know what's going to happen around the corner.
Because
Yeah, that was
that was
both
both
some
of
good
those
shit.
games just got their hooks in me, and I was obsessed with them for
Yep.
probably months at a time. So I actually don't know if I have the time for those games today, but if I did, those are two I wouldn't mind replaying for the first time.
Oh man.
Is with Skies of Arcadia, was it basically the story that you liked a lot?
It's everything. It was everything. I mean, at that time on the Dreamcast, I wouldn't say it was cutting edge, but it did look pretty good. But the music and the gameplay and and the story just, I don't know. I never fall in love with certain elements of a game. It kind of has to be the whole package, you know, for me
Oh,
to really
yeah.
really get hooked. And I would say that both of those games were, for me, the whole package.
Yeah, that's an RPG that doesn't really come up in discussion very often. I feel like
No, that's true.
it's kind of underrated in that aspect. It was a good game. I'm not a big crazy long RPG guy, but that one was fairly fun. It came out on the GameCube, right? And-
Yeah, they had a kind of a remake of it on the GameCube.
Yeah,
that you
that's what I played it on.
I played it on both, actually. That's how much I like that game.
Yeah.
Wow. That's dedication, because, I mean, that was back when, like, you sat down and they were like, this is an RPG, so it's going to suck away like 60 to 100 hours of your life easy.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I'm
God,
sure
why?
I've wasted hundreds of hours on that game.
Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
I can't get it past two either. They're pretty opposite ends of the spectrum. They're both 3D games, but
Okay.
Attack and the Power of Juju and Chaos Theory, I think would have to be it.
Fair enough. Now, is it with you? It's also like a whole package thing, or
Oh yeah. Oh
are
yeah.
we talking about the story? We're talking about what are we talking about, Jay?
For Dag and the Power of Juju, I was fairly young when I played it, and I remember a lot of dialogue strangely from that game. And that, like, when I think of video games, it's hard to really like remember specific dialogue, right? Like, someone
That's
asks,
true.
What's your favorite line in a video game? It's like, well, I can think about my favorite.
I
lines
don't know.
in films are. I don't really know what they are in games, but in that game, like, there's a ton of like fourth wall stuff. Like, they address that you're playing on a system and that like they're on a TV screen, and I never picked up on that as a kid, but I remember the quotes. It's weird. The environments, I don't know. There was just something special about that and its sequel that took me to a different world that I never really
Right.
thought of before that I liked a lot. And with Chaos Theory, I still have no idea why that game always pops into my head when I have to think about favorites or games that I'd like just want to replay over and over again.
Right.
It might have just been because after Metal Gear Solid 2, I think that was one of the other stealth games that I first started really getting into, and that's like my favorite genre ever. And that game, again, whole package. The story was great. It wasn't like the first two games where I was just chasing a brown person from another country who you just assume is a terrorist because Tom
Yeah.
Clancy things tend to be a bit racist. Um, Thought a lot more outside the box. Some of the violence was a bit gripping for its time. Just being able to snap people's necks and stab them in the throat and kind of thing, and the simplicity of it too. I think like the Splinter Cell games now, they're just so clustered with shit that you don't really know what to shake a tail feather at. In that game, it was just kind of, like you have an objective. There's plenty of ways to get to it. Go get to it. If you need to stop someone who's in your way, you can, hit left to knock him out or hit right to kill him.
Okay.
It wasn't
That
like
is
this
pretty
whole
simple.
selecting different weapons kind of thing or changing your loadouts and all that. It's just you get what you get. If you do well, maybe you'll unlock a new weapon for next time. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think those are my two.
For me, mine are very old. When I was a lot younger, but the thing for me is that these aren't really the games so much as the company I was in at the time when I was playing them. I had a very good friend, and now the thing you have to understand and remember is that at the time, a lot of the games were all just text based. That was what they were. You'd load up a game and it would describe things to you, and then you would react to the descriptions because they were text adventures. And this must have been 1985 or so, 1986 maybe. He got an IBM because that was the new big thing. And I went down to visit him because he was 8 hours away by car. And he said, "You have to see this, right?" And he put in King's Quest 3, and we got to the end because he'd saved the game there. And there was this giant three-headed dragon. And I'd never seen that before, like in a game ever. And I think that if I could have that game over again, I'd be very happy. Not some of it's terrible. The design of it's not very good at all, like in hindsight, because like there's a rolling timer that lives on the top of the screen, and you live and die by the timer. If you do something wrong, then the timer will kill you. Well, the wizard who like works on the timer, he will kill you.
Yeah.
But just the environment that I was in at the time, with the friend that I was playing it with at the time, made that game, and that would be awesome to experience. The other game, which is close to it time-wise, is probably Space Quest 1. And with Space Quest 1, it's the same situation. It was the same holiday with the same person. But more than anything else, I think that I like the universe of Space Quest 1. Like, in comparison with modern games, it's very bare bones. But the humor, especially, was what sold that game to me. I'd never seen a computer game not take itself seriously.
Yeah, well, that was pretty unique for that game at its time too.
Yes, it was, because like a lot of the games prior to that were looking at J.R.R. Tolkien for inspiration. They were saying, okay, well, we need to build big fantasy universes, so let's be super serious. Everything was super serious, and then along came this game, and it wasn't super serious at all. There was like when you died and you fell out of a space area, it would, like, the death message would be, "Sun decompression sucks," and that's a pun, and it was funny. Not a lot of games did that at that point, so I really liked that, and if I could have that over again, I would.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. So, like, okay, so not talking about the full package now, because that's what you guys were talking about. Are there any time and place games that you'd want to have over again? like games that you played at a specific time in your life that meant a lot to you.
Mm.
Was that's like a more difficult question?
Yeah, I think one of my games kind of falls into that. Like that was just
Okay.
I was probably 8 or 9 at the time when I played that game. I remember that this was back when if I tried real hard and I got an A on a test, I was allowed to get a new video game kind of thing, right?
Oh wow.
And that was one of the games that I got, and sometimes I'd get a stinker and I'd be like, God damn it! Next time when I do well or I do something good, I need to uh, pick a better video game. But I think that one, like, my parents were not the biggest fan of my playing video games, to say the least. But yeah, no, that one I think still holds pretty well in there. I'll try to think of another one if Andrew has one that he could think of in time being.
Andrew, how about you? Time
That's
and
a
place
good
game, a
question.
game that you associate with a specific time and a specific place.
That's a tough one, man. For me, I would say it's more about systems than games.
Okay, fair enough. Go for it.
Because like I remember when I got my Sega Genesis, um, I got a bunch of games. Well, not a bunch. I got like 3 or 4 games for it right away.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time playing with my friends and my brother and my sister with it, and just anytime
That's
I get
pretty awesome.
a new system, I like to spend a lot of time with it and get people over to hang out and enjoy
Yeah.
it with me.
Right.
So I've actually made a lot of good memories that way with various systems
Yeah.
over the years.
And like those would be the kind of things that you want to experience because those were good times, good people.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm sure, like many people, one of those games for me would be Halo. Like who didn't have just a ton of LAN parties, like, or Quake 3 Arena,
Right.
like
Yeah.
like just playing that with your friends and dicking around and just calling each other idiots and fucking whatever the exploit of the game was, call them that plus ist.
Again, I'm very old, so the first time we ever did that together, the first time we ever put a bunch of computers together, and we played a game like that, there were only 2 games we could play it because there were only 2 games that were set up to do it that way, because it was like a very different world then. And the one was a flight simulator, and no one wanted to play that. We tried for about 10 minutes, and no one saw anyone else because the world was so huge. So people were flying off in their planes, no one saw anyone else, and we're like, this sucks. Let's play Doom. And that was like the next 72-hour like field experience where we sat down and we were on a very big table that we've set up. We kind of built tables out of tables, and we had like 6 or 8 computers, and someone said, okay, well, let's pass around the Doom discs and we'll start playing that. We'll set the computers up together. And 72 hours passed, and someone's mother came in and said, have you slept yet? And we're like, no, not really. And then we realized how tired we were, and we collapsed. So that would be kind of, for me, again, I was never very good at it, but like I say, I'm not good at shooters. That's why I'm not playing Deus Ex.
It's okay. I don't know how crude we're allowed to get on the podcast. I have a
Probably not very.
Okay, then I'll save the Halo story for another time.
Fair enough.
We have a potential new guest trying to hop into to the podcast, so
that's fine. We're going to be live for another 10 more minutes, so they're welcome to join in.
All right, just making sure it's all right.
Sure.
Yeah, just keep talking about whatever, because this will probably take a lot of dicking around too. So.
Oh right, we got to get them.
Yep.
So I never talked about a total package game because that wasn't quite what I associated the question with. But if there was one game that like summed it all up for me, that I really liked, that worked on every level, It was probably, and it's very recent. It's To the Moon, and if I could have that game over again, I would. But I played that like again in one big burst. I was planning to take 2 hours, play 2 hours, stop. But the more I played it, and the more I realized that the story was what it was, and the graphics engine worked very well for the story it was trying to tell, and the music is incredibly effective. That game, I would love to have that over again, but not the sadness that came afterwards, because good lord, that game is sad. Wow.
I haven't played
If
that.
anyone's played To the Moon, you know what I'm talking about.
I'll have to check that one.
Andrew, go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was saying I haven't actually played that one or heard too much about it, but I'll have to check that one out.
I won't spoil anything for you, but I will say that it's not a game like you used to. There are very few actual real game elements, except for one chase that was very bad and shouldn't have been in the game. But most of it is about the story. Most of it is about the fact that you're dealing with these characters in this situation, telling this particular plot, and it's very moving. I, when I played it, that was Game of the Year for me for 2013. It was just that good. 2013 or 2014.
Yeah, I don't.
But
I
it's
don't know what
again
it was.
because of the graphic style, it's not everyone's cup of tea, and because it doesn't really present itself as a game, it's not really everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of games in the past 2 years that were kind of like that. Even Journey like met a lot of
Yeah.
hate for not being as gamey as some people would like. But that game is one of the first games that I guess it's not the first game, but it's one of the few games that has brought tears to my eyes. I will
Yeah,
easily admit.
I can imagine that. I watched someone play that first before I experienced it, and the way she was playing it was, I don't know if you know what ASMR is.
Oh yes.
Okay, so ASMR is a kind of a I'll talk really softly to put your mind at ease kind of thing. It's about relaxation at its core. And she was doing it in that particular style. So there was this one point where she, and you know what I'm talking about because you played the game. She
Yeah.
went down that little slide, and it was all like sunsetty to the left of you, and there
Oh
was the
gosh.
water.
Mm.
And I was at that point. I cried too because it was so beautiful. I'd never seen
It,
anything like that in the game.
yeah, it still looks amazing. It's one of the most beautiful scenes in a game or in
Yeah.
just cinematography. Like
Yeah.
I know that's a really broad thing to say, like Citizen Kane exists. Come on, but no, it's really good.
Andrew, have you played Journey at all?
Actually, no. I'm ashamed to say I haven't. I own it, but I own a lot of
Oh
games
goodness,
that I've never
play it,
even cracked.
play it. It is so worth it.
I'm
It
I'm
really is. It's one of those rare experiences that only come along once every while.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list. And I've been meaning to get to it, but I would say I'm as big of a collector as I am an actual gamer.
Okay.
'Cause I'll buy all these must-have titles, and then half of them I never even. I mean, I'll
If it helps, Journey is not very long.
okay.
You can probably do
Yeah,
it in a
it's
sitting.
about an hour and a half long if you're just going from beginning to end.
Yeah,
Well, I heard recently they're bringing it to PS4, so maybe I'll just
yeah.
rebuy it.
Oh yeah, do that.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Because especially once I switch platforms, like once I upgrade, it's harder and harder to go back.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, I was gonna say we were talking about games we could go back and re-experience for the
And
first
yeah,
time.
right.
But what about like remakes? Because I mentioned Skies of Arcadia. I replayed because they did a remake of it. Do you
Right.
think
Mm.
remakes? Well, how do you guys feel about them? Do you think, like for great games, do you think that's anywhere near as good as it would be for experiencing for the first time?
I mean, if you've already played it, I don't think it would be I don't think if you've played it already, playing the remake isn't going to make you feel like you're playing it for the first time. But for people who don't play
I've
old
never
games
experienced it.
because whatever reason that is, then I think it'd be totally fine. I think it'd be a great way for people to get into older games that they didn't get to try out.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is quite funny because the original stance on remaking, like way back when, was don't do it. It's bad. And now look where we are.
well, Grey Wolf, as a Sierra fan, I heard they're doing a new, like kind of a King's Quest sort of. I don't know if it's a new one or a remake.
Okay,
They're dude.
Is that something you're excited for?
I'm very nervous. Very nervous. Okay, so here's what's happening with that. Okay, so the original creator of the game has had a look at it. Roberta Williams had a look at it, and she's like, this is pretty awesome. And then they showed off pieces of it. And the problem that most loyal Sierra fans are having is that it doesn't look like or seem to play like a
No.
Sierra game.
Yeah,
It's sort of like platformy. And they're worried that that means that it's not going to be a adventure game, and that scares them. It scares me too.
I think your concerns are valid, but I also think that since it is still Murphy and Crow working on it, like the two guys who made the first and I think second and third Space Quest games, they are probably keeping to heart what they knew made the game special, but also keeping in mind that in this new era, you can't really just make a text-based adventure game, right? Like,
No, you can't.
unfortunately, those don't sell. They have
No
to be
one-
like a visual
No one
story.
has. The problem is that no one has the attention span for that anymore.
No, they don't. You have to do something like, God, what are they called? The Telltale games. You
have to do something like that. It has to grab people. It has to do it immediately.
Mm-hmm. Because those are they're glorified point-and-click adventure games, right? But because they're visualized to such a way that people can easily consume them, they make it not only well today, but more so than even traditional games do.
It makes me sad that people don't understand that it comes from a comic book.
Yeah, I know.
Hi, guys.
Trish,
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, tell
Hi,
us who you are.
I'm Trish. I'm also known as Tis Knight, and I show up fashionably late to everything. No, sorry.
That's good.
I had to take some tests for classes, but no, being that most of the Telltale games are based on comic books, kind of bothers me that people start playing the game and, I've actually read the Fables comics for, like, say,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the series. I didn't know there was even a Telltale game about them until I picked it up, and I was like, hey, I read this. And then someone's all like, no, it's standalone. No, sir, I read this. Stop it.
Talk to a Batman fan who grew up reading Batman comics, and then everyone's favorite Batman is fucking Christian Bale.
Hey,
That's right.
I've met Mr. Adam West and I've met Mr. Burt Ward when I was in Toronto a couple years ago, and I got to talk to Adam and I got to talk to Ernst Borgnine, if anybody knows who
Nice.
that is.
Nice.
I
pretty
got to
sweet.
talk to him before he passed away, and I actually talked to both of them because they were at the same con, and I asked them one question. I said, what is it like going from all the live action stuff that you guys have done over the years to voice acting? And Adam West, actually, he was honest as hell, and he goes, it's like taking candy from a baby. I sit in a room, I make $5,000 for 5 sentences. And then I went over to Ernst and I said, I talked to Adam. I asked him the same question. He looked at me. He goes, "You're a smart kid." And that was literally all I've ever said to either one of them. But I was the happiest kid ever.
That's awesome.
Fair enough.
Hmm.
So, we've talked about a couple of things on the podcast. Do you want to tell us about a game that you would like to re-experience for the first time as if though you never experienced it before?
Before you say anything, I picked
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption.
That's fine. That's fine. Honestly, that's fine. Honestly, me and my fiance, we were talking about it the other day. I would love to see Grand Theft Auto Vice City redone. I love the era, I love the genre, and if I was introduced on a new console of this 1980s mafia shoot 'em up style with great music, I think I'd be hooked. I think it would be one of the games that I would sit there and play like I do with Grand Theft Auto 5 now. And like I've met Steve Ogg and he's a fantastic guy, fantastic character. I mean, he plays Trevor,
Mhm.
but he loved the series, and I asked him when he was signing my little poster if he would ever do a video game again, and he wants to. He's lined up for 2 or 3 of them so far. So
That's pretty
That's
cool.
awesome.
I have stories. I'm a walking book. If you want me to shut up, tell me to shut up.
Oh no, it's fine. That's why we let you in on the
That's fine.
podcast
That's
late.
yeah. I mean, the whole point of the podcast is to talk about things.
But the other game that I think, if it was a brand new saga being reintroduced now, was Yu-Gi-Oh! War of the Roses.
Okay.
I sat for hours playing that game and combining cards.
Yeah.
And I think if the generation was reintroduced or brought out with brand new characters to keep people's minds now, like it did back then, like when it transitioned from Dragon Ball Z to Yu-Gi-Oh, that big transition, I think people would catch on to it again. It'd be a new magic, if you will.
Hmm.
I tried playing the first one. I have vague recollections that was on the Game Boy Advance, I think.
Yes,
I don't
and then the
really
second
remember.
one was on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, and I got to this magic point in the game where I could build a deck out of guys that were all 4-star and 1800.
Hmm.
That was the deck. It wasn't anything other than that, with a couple of traps and a couple of spells, and I annihilated everything.
Oh,
And
yeah?
it was silly.
You felt
It
so
was-
powerful.
It was silly. I couldn't understand. But then I understand that game had a bunch of banned and restricted cards added to it because the power was a little bit nuts.
They did. Tournament play to what is actually introduced in a video game is completely different, but
Okay.
that's for another day.
Yeah. So, okay. We've gone for about an hour. Is there anything else anyone would like to add? Are there any last words that anyone would like to say? No one wants to say anything.
I was trying
That's
to think.
fantastic.
I was trying to think of a clever quote, but I'm clearly not clever.
Oh.
Yeah, me too. I'll just say I feel bad for Trish because she just got on.
I
Yeah.
felt so bad. I wanted to be here so much earlier, but like I was telling Gray, one of my teachers decided that she wanted to cut class a week early, and it was like, oh, you guys can cram all of these 2 tests and an assignment that's due next week into today. So.
Yeah, that's not fun at all.
Eh.
But we're glad you're here, and we're glad you could
Hi.
make it.
Bye.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Well, okay. Then, Trish? Is there anything that you specifically would like to talk about before?
Yeah,
before we head off?
actually, let's do that.
Come September, and I recommend this for everybody. Fan Expo is happening again in Toronto. It's a 3-day, well, I think they're adding a 4th day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in Toronto, where they have a celebrity panel. And if you guys live in the Metro Toronto area, Michigan area, New York area, I meet a lot of great people. It's a great little excursion, even if you just want to come for the day, visit the city. I'm going to be walking around there. I know I'll probably remind you guys again in the future, it'll be coming up, but I'll be doing a little bit of questioning, a little bit of reporting, taking some pictures, anything along those lines. So.
And we will probably run stuff on TwinStick about that as we get to it, more than likely.
Probably.
I'd hope.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been Lost Wolf / Grey Wolf. This has been a TwinStick podcast. I have various people with me. Would you like to tell us who you are and say goodbye?
Sure. I'm Cody. I'm also a contributor to TwinStick. I'm also a student who likes to make games sometimes. And I will hopefully see you guys and get to talk on podcasts again at another time. Yeah.
And I'm, again, Andrew J. Amadeo, contributor, semi-article writer, and gamer and collector and enthusiast. That's all I have to say.
Trish?
Oh, hey, I'm Trish. Nice to meet you. I'm sorry I'm late again.
Nice.
I write for TwinStick, and I graduate this spring. Again,
Oh,
I
good luck.
apologize for being late. I am so sorry about that.
No, don't worry about it. It's okay. It's really fine.
Yep.
you had stuff to do, and it's important. Anyway, so like, yeah, school is important. Of course it is.
It is important. I'm being very sarcastic. I also school.
Right. Like I was saying, this is the 26th podcast. We still don't have a name for it. If you have a name, as we keep on saying, please feel free to leave it in the comment section of the articles.
Twin stick twists tongues.
Yes. Well, that's a good one. I like it. Anyone else for names? The one I've been floating is Twincast, but that has issues, so we haven't really used it. But what we're gonna maybe think about doing is putting up a poll at some point, if people give suggestions, and then we'll work it out from there. So we're the Twin Stick podcast. Well, we're some of the Twin Stick podcast crew. If you want to go and read stuff on Twin Sticks, that's www.twinstick.com. Like I said, don't forget we're running a games club. They're playing Deus Ex.
Yep.
You feel free to get
the original
involved with
Deus Ex, not that
The original Deus Ex.
crap. Although
You can get it on
it's not
GOG.
crap.
You can get it on Steam. Can you get it on Steam? You can, right?
You can get it on Steam. If you want it DRM free, obviously get it on GOG, but it's on both.
Right. If you can find discs, good luck.
Is it on their program? Is it on their program for that?
Where?
If you have GOG's been doing their. If you have a physical copy of the game, you
Oh
can
no, that's one of the game that's not on
It's
those.
not one yet. Yeah, I didn't
Sadly,
think it would
but
be.
they'll probably get there hopefully.
Oh, I'm sure it's probably one of their.
It's a
more
really good
popular
idea.
sellers
That program is a really good idea actually.
It is.
So, like I was saying, if you want to play Deus Ex with the Twin Stick crew, join in with that. I don't know when we're going to be doing updates, but we will be doing updates. Some people are streaming it and the like. We'll probably try and put links up for that too. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. It's
of
been very
course.
good.
Thank you for
We had a blast.
getting this all together. This was a lot of fun.
You guys are
No problem.
amazing.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a great week, folks. Goodbye.
All right.
Bye.